Hello, I'm Emily Dunn, and I'm your student's English 10 teacher for the 2022-2023 school year. In this presentation, I'll just be talking through some important information for the coming school year. So if you have any questions at the end of the video or anything that you want clarified, just shoot me an email or you can call my extension, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. So first, just a little background about me. I received my bachelor's in English literature from DePauw. Then after that, I received my master's in literary studies from Purdue. I've been teaching about 12 years, and I really love what I do, and I want to make learning enjoyable for all students in the classroom. It's my biggest goal. So some core texts for the year. This semester we'll be reading Scythe. Students are currently reading Scythe. Immediately after that, we'll be watching The Social Dilemma, and then we'll end the semester with a memoir book club, and students actually get to choose which text that they want to read for that unit. Semester 2, we'll be reading Of Mice and Men, Fences, Macbeth, and Trifles. So as far as the grade distribution goes, both semesters, formative assessments are worth 30%, and formative assessments are essentially isolated skill-based assignments that are building towards the larger summative assessments that are weighed a little bit heavier. And so those bigger assignments, the summative assessments, it's a pretty even split between essays, projects, and presentations. So as far as student expectations go, participation is key. Participation, communication. So participating in the classroom, whether raising your hand, asking a question, contributing to conversation. Sometimes we'll have digital discussions in an online forum. But that includes questions outside of class too. So if your student is feeling stuck or confused, or a skill we worked on isn't quite locking in, or they want a little extra assistance with an upcoming summative assessment, they can just shoot me an email. They can schedule a time to meet with me during SRT. Those meetings are always very helpful. During class, students are expected to have their cell phones put away. All students have a device. It's a one-to-one school. So because everyone has their own laptop or Chromebook, there's no need for the cell phones to be out. So I like to go around and check and just make sure everyone's cell phone is put away. We also spoke about academic honesty at the beginning of the school year. So just really important that if students are including another author's words within a project, presentation, or paper, that they are quoting that author, citing, just to make sure they're maintaining that academic integrity piece. So getting into the English 10 Canvas page, you just click on the folder there. It is a red folder, so click on that, and then it will take you to a page that looks like this. And so every day is labeled, every module, I should say, is labeled which day in the semester it is. So you can see August 10th and 11th, that was day 1. And every module, I list the daily slides and any resources they might need for that class period. And because my English 10 classes are split over both blue and gold days, you can see that the dates are split as well. So if your student is in a blue day class, their period will be listed first. And if they're in a gold day class, theirs will be listed second. And at the very bottom of the Canvas page, I've listed the syllabus and any other important resource that I feel like students will refer to frequently, that they can find that quickly just by scrolling to the bottom of the page. My grading policy follows a skill-based rubric. So if we are working on an isolated skill and I'm reading their submission, and as I'm evaluating, I feel like that student has exceeded the standard we worked on for that day, they would get a 95%. If they're getting close, they're meeting the standard, but it could use a couple little tweaks, that's an 85. If they're sort of getting there, but it needs a bit more work, that's a 75. If they submitted their work, but they're just not quite meeting the mark, they're not quite understanding that specific skill, then that would be a 65%. And at that point, I would want to meet with that person and talk with them about what we can do to improve that grade and to make sure that that skill really locks in. If an assignment is not turned in, that will go in the gradebook as a 0. And if you look at the bottom of this page, just want to mention that zeros aren't meant to be punitive, but more used as a communication tool. So I usually flag the assignments as missing and I put in the 0 just as a communication piece so students know exactly where they stand without that assignment in the gradebook. It's also really motivating for them to get the assignment turned in if they have not submitted it already. And so the 0 is just temporary until that assignment is submitted. And then the new score will be replaced with the skill-based score. So students are allowed to remediate and revise any formative assessment as needed to improve their grade. And just going back to the communication piece, if students are feeling overwhelmed or stuck and they're getting behind and that's becoming habitual, first I will reach out to you, but I would also encourage those students to communicate with me if they need a little extra time to work on an assignment. And especially if I receive communication from you as well, I'm very amenable to granting an extension if needed because I know things come up. It's just important that that's communicated with me. And then at the end of each semester, there will be a culminating presentation over the work from that semester. So semester 1, they will do a group presentation about the memoir that they read at the end of the semester. And semester 2 will be a synthesis presentation where it will be like a meeting of the minds where they synthesize information about various characters or themes to reach a variety of conclusions about theme. And so just a couple things, a couple foundational elements in my classes that I always like to keep in mind is communication, as I mentioned. Just communicate early and often, and I will do the same. And I always want students to advocate for their needs. So if they need a pass, they need to come in and see me during SRT. They need to go to the media center. I just like students to let me know about that so I can be a resource for them as well. And then I like to keep balance in mind as well. I know that students have so much going on outside of class. And so I like to be mindful of that. And I think it's important for students to take time to reset if needed and just to stay focused on the big picture and not get too overloaded with the minutia necessarily. So I like to design each class period so students are rewarded for their focus. So generally, if they get all their work done during class, they won't have a lot of homework. But if they lose a little focus during class, they might have a little catching up to do outside of class. But from what I've seen so far, English 10 students are doing really great. They're really motivated this year, and I'm just really enjoying getting to know them better. So if you need to reach me, that is my email in the yellow highlight and my phone extension. So my email is edunn@ccs.k12.in.us. And if you call the high school, 317-846-7721, my extension is 7283. Thank you again, and it's going to be a great school year.